Hey guys, welcome to part two of our interview with Zev Feldman, getting ready to show off some of the great records he has coming out this year on Record Store Day. Hey Zev, welcome back.
Hey, Greg, thanks for having me back.
So folks, this is part two. If you missed part one, we went over the three records he's got coming out for the left bank, and now we've got a bunch of other records that are coming out this Record Store Day. And where do we begin, Zev? Which title do you want to start with?
Let's talk about Eric Dolphy, Musical Prophet, the expanded
Okay,
1963
and
New York studio sessions.
I've got a copy to show here, so you can talk but you can point me to any page or any section.
Oh, you feel free to display it if you want. Here's the story, folks. So this was a release that we initially put out in 2016 with the estate, the Eric Dolphy Trust, which is an official project here. These are recordings. This is a re-release, just so that we're clear. And there's some initial distinctions I want to talk about. We'll talk about what goes inside it in a moment. But we put this release out originally in 2016. We made 3,000 copies, and they quickly sold out. And for vinyl, there's still a CD edition, by the way. And I got a lot of push blowback from the community. How could you only make 3,000? Hey, we didn't have enough out here. People are still trying to find it. And when we do these record store day releases, we want to make just the right amount. We're not trying to go for the long tail and have inventory on hand years and years from now. We're really trying to ship sold out. That is our goal, because things are very measured. There's a lot of risk that goes into this. But the first release, by the way, was mastered by Bernie Grunman. It was cut by RTI, and you had different photographs from Chuck Stewart on the front and back cover. We've gone back basically and created a new cover with different photographs from Chuck Stewart on the front and back. Still very rare pictures that most people have probably never seen before. And we mix things up. Instead of having Bernie Grunman do the mastering, this time we went to Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio. That is Eric Dolphy at the Jacques Peche in Paris.
It's a beautiful cover, picture. It's not the cover.
Love the emotion on his face there. I love that picture. Anyways, this time around, we've mastered with Kevin Gray. We've pressed at La Vinylist, which is a great audiophile pressing plant in Canada. It says 180 grams, but it's probably closer to 200 because La Vinylist will often do that. A very high quality pressing.
Massive 3-record set.
And these come from these recordings that Eric Dolphy had. He made these albums for Alan Douglas on the FM and Douglas Records, I believe, were the imprints, the Iron Man Conversations. And working with James Newton, James had the personal belongings, some of them of Eric Dolphy, before he went to Europe and sadly passed away in the early 60s. Before he went, he left a suitcase with some of his personal effects, including a whole bunch of tape reels with some very dear friends of his. After he passed away, these tapes, this suitcase of tapes, was passed along to my co-producer on this project, James Newton, who is a flautist, composer, arranger, historian, educator, and he is someone that really knows how to read the tea leaves on Eric Dolphy. And what we did was we did a high-quality presentation of these original albums, which, by the way, Conversations and Iron Man, which are important records in
I'm going to try to show them.
Oh, you should. We even put the original art in there. I felt that was important. We normally don't do re-releases, but this was re-releases of another type because we were working from the original tape reels, Eric's copies. So, along with putting out these two recordings with a deluxe package versus some of the shoddy ones, which I'm sure people have noticed over the years, we had a chance to include all this alternate material. And we left a lot behind still, but I had James Newton who listened to it and was able to really put together some of he was able to really, help us select some additional material that had not been out before that was interesting. It wasn't really a matter of good versus better takes. It was really, I would like to say, different musical statements that Dolphy was playing on some of this alternate material. But the bottom line was we worked so hard on this. The liner notes were also written by Robin D.G. Kelly, who many people know from writing the book on Thelonious Monk. Photographs by Chuck Stewart, Val Wilmer, Jean-Pierre Loire. We interviewed Sonny Rollins for this. We interviewed late Sonny Simmons, Henry Threadgill, Nicole Mitchell, Steve Coleman, David Murray. Eric Dolphy matters, and we're still celebrating his legacy. And this is really one of the projects I'm proud about. We don't always do re-releases, but we will do them occasionally if there's a demand. And I love it.
What I thought was interesting, I assumed that you just took the same vinyl and put a new cover on it, but you actually redid the master plates and redid the mastering.
Absolutely.
Which to me is a lot of expense and trouble to go to, but what was behind that decision?
We didn't just want to do, well, first of all, if we're going to do something like this, we needed to make something different. We needed to make some variations of this. We wanted there to be a reason for people. Hey, some people would need to go out and get
both sets.
Well, but more importantly, when working with Record Store Day, since this was an exclusive Record Store Day release when it came out, we owed it to them to, hey, we need to make this a little different. The artwork, the mastering, the pressing plants, and that's what we've done here. But man, it's a Rolls Royce. There is a lot of girth and weight in this package. It's a heavy one.
I can barely lift it.
La Vinylist has been doing just tremendous work for us. And they also did the re-release of Jaco Pastorius' Truth, Liberty, and Soul, by the way, which we put out last November too. But we will do that occasionally. But Eric Dolphy, timeless, an important artist.
I'll mention that you even reproduced the original labels.
Yes, sir.
So you got 3 labels that are 3 different looks.
Yes, sir.
One to go with each original, and then one that's your own original.
Yeah.
Which I thought was an interesting.
I think these details matter, Greg.
Yeah.
I'm a record collector. I mean, and I live in record stores, and the art, the culture. I try to incorporate all these details into the work that we do. And I hope people recognize that. There's Iron Man. Yeah. I mean.
And if I had a wide enough angle lens, we could show you that this thing is a trifold.
It is.
And you need a bigger lens and a bigger studio to show this thing because it's massive. And the book and the 3 records. So this is beautiful, and I really appreciate. I was disappointed that I didn't get, in line early enough to get a copy of when it first came out. But now I got the second release. So that's beautiful. I really appreciate it. That's wonderful.
I'm glad. I hope everyone out there likes it too. It was a lot of fun. Very exciting working on these.
So you've got 2 others. That's the Dolphy, which is going to sell out, no question. And I guess 2 others to mention here that are coming out on Record Store Day.
Sure. I'd like to talk. What should we talk about next? You want to talk about Bill Evans? Or you want to talk about Chet Baker?
You can talk about Bill Evans. It's fine.
Let's talk about Bill Evans' Treasures. By the way, I don't have a copy here because they've all gone out. I'm waiting for some to arrive. So
you and me don't have copies, so I don't feel bad.
Maybe you can put the album cover up. I'll send you the artwork.
I don't have enough. Yeah.
We'll figure something out. But listen, so it wouldn't be a Record Store Day without a great Bill Evans release, and this Record Store Day especially is some celebration for Bill Evans fans. We are putting out a 3 LP set called Treasures. These are recordings that have never been released before. They weren't even listed in Bill Evans' discographies before. The collectors don't have this. People weren't aware. But these were recordings made in Denmark between 1965 and 1969 that were produced and recorded originally by a gentleman named Ole Matheson, who was the producer at Danish radio in the 60s. And he curated and invited Bill Evans and orchestrated these releases. But what is it? These are solo piano, trio recordings, including trio with Eddie Gomez on bass and Marty Morell, but also recordings with, as I believe, maybe the only meeting with Bill Evans with Niels Henning, Orsted Pedersen, and Alan Dawson on drums. And then there's Bill Evans with orchestra playing. Very unique recordings, very important recordings. We brought back for this project Mark Myers, who has written liner notes on a number of Bill Evans releases for me over the years, who is a scholar who knows, again, I use those words, knows how to read the tea leaves and can really, put everything in framework. And this is an important record. These are important recordings, never before out, from a very important time in Bill Evans's output. I'm very proud about these. These are just wonderful recordings. We spoke with pianist Matthew Shipp and also the great Rand Blake about these as well to see what their thoughts were. But like everything that we do, we pull out all the stops. We had all these visuals and photographs that people had never seen before, in addition to the music. And we've assembled a colossal package that was mastered by Bernie Grunman and pressed at Memphis Record Pressing here in the States. And I'm telling you, you don't have it all. And these are great recordings that I think present Bill Evans's genius in various instrumentation, different settings, and it's great stuff.
Can you mention what is the pieces of music that are done with orchestra? Because the stuff, like I have Bill Evans' Symbiosis, I think some of the stuff that he's done in the larger setting is amazing. But are these Evans pieces or other composers?
It's Evans and other music too. We have these recordings with Pale Mickelborg, who was on the recordings with him and too, and I believe also include a composition of his. I don't have my packaging in front of me, so forgive me. But yeah, especially if you like Symbiosis and you like Bill Evans with strings, it's only one aspect of this project.
Mm-hmm.
It's one portion of it, but it's got a bunch of different tasty sides to it with important music from Bill Evans fans. It's very hard for me to articulate how important this is, but I think decades and decades now after an artist passing, such as Bill Evans, there is a whole new generation of fans that are being exposed to his music for the first time. I really attribute that to Record Store Day because, well, the packages always look great, but we've now in recent years had people purchasing Bill Evans records, maybe because they were collectible or just looked cool. I'll take it. I love the fact that more people are discovering his music because he's timeless. His music transcends generations, and people are still being turned on to his
Are
great.
we up to like the fifth Evans from you, fifth or sixth? How many do you think? Do you even know? Can you keep track?
I have. This is my 10th production with the estate of Bill Evans.
Oh, my 10.
My 10th one, and very meaningful. And my 11th will be coming next Record Store Day, Black Friday, when we put out, I won't get into it, but there's more unissued recordings that even collectors do not have. Very important stuff. I can't stress enough how appreciative we are to Record Store Day, who has allowed for these projects to be given birth by being a part of this event and this global event. And I'm just very proud. Working with Evan Evans, Bill's son, has been a joy all these years now, and who has had total faith and believing in the work that we've been doing with myself and my various teams, whether that's Resonance or Elemental. And I'm just very appreciative. Bill Evans matters. His music is here to stay.
I mean, I consider him the most important piano player of his era, just because of the expressiveness and the interpretations and the style. Pretty much everything you've done with him has been recorded in Europe. Is that true?
In Europe and Argentina, in New York at the top of the Village Gate.
That one,
studio that we did in Hilversum for Behind.
I mentioned that just because the trend of these musicians to get out of the United States and maybe find a better audience in Europe in later years, especially the 70s and beyond that. Um, Europeans seem to have a better you know, love of our American music, which is a little sad, but rock and roll was taking off, and that maybe segues into the next guy who also spent a lot of time in Europe, in Holland. So maybe we can segue right into this guy, Chet.
Yes, sir. This guy
And
right
beautiful,
here.
beautiful. That picture is my favorite part of this whole release. I absolutely love that picture, and the music is wonderful too. But let's talk about this gentleman who ended up in Holland in
Sure.
the later part of his life.
So these recordings are a miracle that we have them. It's just mind blowing with the amount of previously unissued recordings that we've been finding. Not just unissued, but music that checks out, music that's great. And this marks my second production with the estate of Chet Baker. I've had the good fortune of working with them now for a few years. First, we worked on Live in Paris, which we put out for Record Store Day in April of 2022. And now we have Blue Room, which are made up of two sessions that were done. Just to give you the exact dates, April 10th, 1979, with Phil Markowitz, pianist Phil Markowitz, bassist Jean-Louis Rosenfos, and drummer Charles Rice. And then in November of 79, they came back to Vara as well. Vara Studios is where Eric Dolphy recorded Last Date. Bill Evans recorded there with Marty Morell and Eddie Gomez. He recorded there with Jack DeJohnette and Eddie Gomez too. And Wes Montgomery played there. It was really one of the important venues and in the history of music, especially in Europe. And they had great microphones and engineering and were able to really capture wonderful audio. But we so often talk about these live recordings. Well, this is a different kind of a statement because it's a studio recording, and I always feel that studio performances are different. Let's talk about what this package is, though. It's these two studio recordings, and Chet Baker, to me, to this fan, and I think a lot of people would agree with me on this, that Chet Baker was recording just masterfully at all these different parts of his career. Sometimes he had off nights, like a lot of musicians do, but he was a virtuosic talent. He was a master. Interestingly enough, he didn't read music, but it was like in his DNA. He had the feeling, he knew how to play his instrument, and he was just absolutely wonderful. These sessions capture both instrumental and some vocals tracks too, and they're just wonderful. I mean, I love later Chet. 79 was a very active period. He was recording for some other labels in Europe at this time, and he was making great music. And I feel that that's what these are. We don't just rush to put stuff out, but we will often get second opinions from musicians. And I shared this music with Phil Markowitz and Jean-Louis Rosenfos, who were startled by how great it sounded. Not in a bad way, but I mean, these were really wonderful recordings. And they come from the KRO NCRV radio network, which is in the Netherlands. These tapes were found by my co-producer on the production, Frank Jochimsen, who is the head of the Netherlands Jazz Archive. And they have a lot of recordings that we put out before, including Sonny Rollins. But you'll see it's a deluxe package. Also, we have liner notes written by a gentleman that's written about extensively about Chet Baker and also Chet Baker in Holland. That's Jeroen de Valk. But we also interviewed others, including we spoke with Richie Byrack. Or wait a second, that was for the last group. We spoke with Randy Brecker. We spoke with Enrico Pieranunzi. We really tried to gather some different voices, not to mention interviews with the living musicians, to really describe and articulate and put in the framework again what was going on. It's a wonderful project. It's a very important discovery, and I'm very proud of this release. I love the music of Chet Baker. If you're a fan of Chet's, I think you're going to appreciate this release. And man, does it sound great! Bernie Grunman did the mastering on it, and we pressed it at we pressed this one at, I think we did this one at Gizette, GZ. I have to keep track of it sometime in my
There's
in
too many.
my little noggin as well. But also, I also want to call out the engineering work also, that we had done on this too. Forgive me, I'm spacing out. I'm trying to find. I thought I had it right here, but
Uh,
the original productions were produced by Edward Rutan and Lex Lahman for KRO and CRV. And anyways, it's wonderful material. I hope people will enjoy it, and it was a
I
pleasure to
think
work.
I've listened to this thing back to back multiple times on the turntable, and it's my family loves it too because they don't always go for the Eric Dolphy type stuff, but this is a great record that is more accessible. But I'm not aware of Chet reaching out and doing stuff like Miles Davis tunes. There's two Miles Davis tunes on here and a Wayne Shorter tune on here. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some sort of Chet standard stuff that you hear before, like Blue Room, and then Nardis, which is a song you associate with Miles and Bill Evans. So to me, it shows a breadth of material that Bill Chet did in his later years. So really nice sounding record and some surprises, even some scat singing, which I don't think I've heard him do before. Singing, playing trumpet, leading the band. Really, really nice recording.
I love his recording of Candy. I think a lot of us are working on this. That's one of the standout tracks for us. But you're right, he does Wayne Shorter's Beautiful Black Eyes on here too, which is great. He does Nardis. Mark Myers think that it's one of the greatest versions of Nardis that he's heard.
And
It's
it's a different tempo. It's a unique interpretation of Nardis, which is such a great tune. All right, well, Bill Evans. I'm saying Bill Evans. Chet Baker. Sorry, it's early for me. Blue Room coming out on Record Store Day. 5,000 copies. And is that all three? We already
that
covered all three records.
we
Is that
we
it?
Dolphy, Chet Baker, and Bill
No
Evans
more?
did.
Yeah,
Oh my God,
that's
it's
it.
only 6 albums this year for Record Store Day.
Yeah, the amount of vinyl that you guys are creating. And again, this photo showing a little bit of a melancholy look at Chet later in his life. Candid shot. I absolutely love this photo.
I like those Shelley Berman glasses he's wearing.
Exactly. Maybe he didn't want to always appear in those, but we got him in his little suit there.
He looks really cool. I mean, we don't always have photographs taken at the session, and that's taken at the session. Yeah.
Beautiful. Zev, I think that maybe covers all the great stuff you're doing for this year's Record Store Day. Folks are going to have to get up early and get in line to get a hold of these. If you're lucky enough to get a copy, because the way Record Store works is not every store gets every record, and so if you're in a major urban area like LA, you're probably going to be able to get a few copies. But these are gonna sell out quick, probably.
And for anyone out there, you're always welcome to reach out to me. I'm on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram. I always welcome hearing from people. I can't emphasize enough how much their support matters in partaking in this event. And if someone's out there and they get stuck and they've been to their shops and they can't find it, hit me up and I'll usually put you in touch with someone. We'll try our very best to help
Wow,
someone
didn't know that.
find a copy. I'm always
That's good
happy
to
to
know.
help where we can. And I would also
Great.
say, the day after Record Store Day, all the stores will be selling on Discogs on their websites. So there is still a way for you to find stuff. You'd be surprised. Go up there. It's not always about the mad flippers. We're really trying to beat those guys out of the picture here. Seriously, I don't even want to bring them up because it's not worth it. But you know what? There's a lot of positivity, and on the online marketplace from these independent record stores, they're counting on that as well. And they may have something that folks are looking for.
Yeah, it's a great event. I mean, the event was designed to get people into their local record stores, and now that we have this vinyl resurgence that's absolutely gone crazy, these record stores, I think some of them are having a hard time getting great stock, but you got a lot of great stuff that you're going to put into the record stores, and I've been a big fan of Record Store Day from day one. But you are the probably the only person or the only producer that puts out the majority of their stuff on Record Store Day, and always quality stuff. Other labels have a kind of a different view of what the point of it is, but there's all kinds of great stuff that only is available from you guys on Record Store Day. So you got to get in line to make it happen. I didn't mean to discourage people from Record Store Day. I meant to encourage them to get there on time.
You're helping out the brick and mortar retailers across the globe with this event. It helps a lot of record stores out. It got a lot of positive energy into it, and I just can't thank everyone at Record Store Day enough, along with the fans, record store owners, yourself. It takes a village to pull this off.
And I'm someone who grew up working in record stores, and I've seen so many great stores go by the wayside because they economically couldn't make it through some of the tough times, and we still have other stores today that are not doing it. So it is a great way to support your local record store. Online is great, but it's even better to pick up that record in the store. And then you have that memory of, I was in this store this day, this record, this line. I met these people when I bought that record. Literally, that's a great way to enjoy Record Store Day. Zev, I think that covers it. Unless you have anything else to add or any more previews of any of these dozens of projects you're working on, you probably can't talk about them.
I'll talk about a few things. So here's what we're working on right now. The next year and a half is going to be very exciting. On the Resonance label, we're working on a really beautiful package of previously unreleased recordings from the 1960s from the great pianist Les McCann. I'm also working with Reel to Reel on previously unissued recordings of Shelly Manne and his Men, which will be putting out very soon. Stay tuned for that. At Resonance, we're working on 2 Wes Montgomery projects, including some material that's never been available before. Very, very exciting. I got to pinch myself. I'm working with Sonny Rollins right now on a box set, which will be out sometime in about a year or so, and also working on a box set of previously unissued Art Tatum recordings. And there's so much more. I'm just thanking my lucky stars every day that I get a chance to work on these projects and come on here to speak with you and all the viewers out there. And I just, I appreciate the support.
Floodgates are going to be opening. Amazing group of stuff. Yeah.
More to come. Let's keep going. Let's keep working on this and keep doing this, and can't do it without everybody.
Keep rolling them out. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Zev. Good luck on all those future projects. Let us know how we can help, and appreciate you sharing some of these records with me and everybody. I think it's Tuesday. You need to get in line today for Saturday. I'm just kidding. But I know some people that will be out there. It's 5 a.m. I won't be out there that early. Thanks, Zev. Appreciate it. Good luck, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care now.